Hi, my name's Phil Buckland. I'm the director of the Environmental Archaeology Lab at Umeå University in Sweden. And together with Francesca Pilotto, I'm working on a project called SEED, the Strategic Environmental Archaeology Database. So SEED is part of a larger infrastructure network for archaeology and palaeoecology, but also reaching out into the realms of ecology and biodiversity science these days. It's a network of multiple databases with different database types, ranging from fossil insect data, plant macrofossils, a bit of pollen, to dendrochronology, ceramic geochemistry, and animal osteology database, and isotopes. We're expanding all the time as more people get involved in the project. It's feeding data also into a large number of, or will be feeding data into a large number of other databases, including ARIADNE, the European database for archaeological data, and the Neotoma Palaeoecology database. During this presentation, we'd like to talk about connections to the Swedish biodiversity data infrastructure, which is the merger of two existing data infrastructures for biodiversity, the Biodiversity Atlas Sweden and the Swedish LifeWatch. Our aim is to add fossil insect data initially to this. If we look briefly at the SEED database, it has an online browser which gives you access to multiple different proxy data sources. On the left you can see a set of filters, in this case showing sites, geochronology, which is radiometric dating methods, mainly radiocarbon, and then just for the modern connection, a list of references of ecological data for the organisms that are found at these sites and have been radiocarbon dated. As you all know, there is a large amount of insect biodiversity data available in GBIF. This is the dots for the Coleoptera, the beetles. There's also a reasonable amount of fossil insect data available through our database system. This is from the Bugs Coleopteran ecology package, which is run in parallel, but is running in a somewhat aged Microsoft Access database system at the moment. But most of the data is available through SEED. The Neotoma Palaeoecology database also has a growing amount of fossil insect data available for North America. As you can see, both of these systems have very much a Western bias. The Palaeobiology database also has beetle data, but we're limiting ourselves to the Quaternary period for this project, so just the last 2.6 million years. Here's an example of the beetle database, or what you can do with it. In SEED, I've restricted the data to the paleoentomology portal, pulled up a list of genera, and filtered to only Aphodius, a dung beetle. I've then further filtered the points based on the ecology of the dung beetles, so limiting the results on the map to just the species which are more dependent on dung and less of an indicator of other types of environment. The system then allows you to create a view state for this, which will be saved as a URI, which you can then send to other people, shown at the bottom of the screen if you want to see the dung beetles. If we were to zoom into one site, so in this case Le Grand-Pile in the French Alps, we can then see the occurrence of all the different taxa at the different samples. And here is one of the dung beetles, Aphodius holdereri, found at about 100,000 years ago. Interestingly, the only finds of this species in GBIF are from the Palaeobiology data. It's very rare and mainly known from the Himalayas these days. So behind all this, SEED has a number of connectivity features, including an API for machine-based connection to other systems, and also export of GeoJSON for semantic networking projects and connecting to the archaeological record. What we are looking at connecting in this project is through using the Darwin core to just connect simple organism, space, and time data so that any map of the modern distribution of a species can also include its fossil distribution and allow searching over time. Some preliminary results just to indicate why this is useful. Here is the work of Francesca. So here she has looked at the distribution of threatened species in Sweden and their occurrence in the fossil record. And we can see that, well, there's a considerable bias in the fossil insect data towards the British Isles, but we can see that the threatened species of Sweden have a number of different habitat affinities, but most of them are connected to dry, dead wood. If we were to compare that to the threatened species of the United Kingdom, so this is comparing species that are classified as threatened in Sweden with species that are classified as threatened in the UK, and we can see that the species threatened in the UK are more common in archaeological records than the Swedish species. So there are a number of challenges to doing this. One of them is the dating record is extremely patchy and extremely complex. There are many, many different ways of dating the fossils, and they have different accuracies, different ranges, and transferring that into a simple from-to date is not always easy. We have fossil taxa, which are not present in modern biodiversity records, which need to be added. We also have the use of old checklists from different nations, which need matching to whatever is current in GBIF and other taxonomic backbones. So there are quite a lot of things to sort out before this is working, and as always, automated linking of any databases needs checking before it's used in research. When this is working, of course, it'll be fantastic. Allow us to look at long-term environmental change, biodiversity changes beyond what is traditionally considered a long time in ecology. Just to explain a bit more about the challenges of time, so here is an example of how archaeological data can be classified into different time periods, and these time periods, depending on the dating resolution of the site, can vary from decades to thousands of years. This is a preliminary attempt to look at the range of dates given for samples in the entire insect fossil record, and you can see there's quite a lot of variation there. There's a lot that needs to be cleaned. A number of these sites, the more modern ones, have more accurate dating than this. So it'd be a case of choosing the most useful or the most reliable set of dates. So this is complicated enough. If we add to that the problems with radiocarbon calibration, so converting a measured radiocarbon date into a real age, and the problem of building reliable age depth models to give dates to samples between the samples that are dated. So the fossil record is quite patchy and quite complicated, and there's a lot of things that need to be sorted out there. But then again, so is the modern record. Here we are comparing the finds of Swedish threatened species and UK threatened species again. And it's clear from these plots that there are a lot of national differences in the way the insects are recorded, but also we can see there are considerable biases in terms of the data collection. Most beetles are found where entomologists live and where they go on holiday. So a lot of cleaning there as well before we can reliably use this long-term ecology data. Thanks for listening. I'd be happy to take any questions.